Hello, Fightful Faithful, and welcome finally to a special free edition of SOUR GRAPS. I'm your host, Pawlowski. As always, not everything sucks. I mean, things last night sucked. Smackdown sucked. Rampage didn't suck. Hey, it's Kate Hensler. She's here too.
Merry Christmas, you guys! I am in my Christmas pajamas. I think what happened was your computer was like, I'm gonna shit the bed because they're actually gonna like the show. So how are things gonna be sour? Like, there's nothing to be sour about really with this show. So they were just like, we have to make sure that we annoy Alex about something.
Yeah. Something. This.
Yeah.
Apparently. Hey everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone in the chat. Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody who's here watching this thing live. So Sean decided to take the weekend off, and good for him. But I was like, I'll probably do SOUR GRAPS. Say, oh great, you should just do it on the regular channel and make it free. And I was like, oh okay, fine. I'll also do this whole thing with it and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, so now I have all those responsibilities. And I'm like, Kate, you want to do it too?
Hell yeah, I did.
Oh, good. Hey, so you normally do this whole Smackdown and Rampage thing on the Fridays.
I do.
And I usually wait until all that's died down, and then I can yell 24 hours later about Smackdown and also talk about Rampage, which is always good. But that's no fun. It's no fun when things are good. It's only fun when I get to tear them apart. That's the whole reason for the season for me and my utter psychosis. So I know that you and Sean always start. Well, first of all, send in a super chat. We're still doing those things. We got Luis, who decided to work tonight too, on Christmas night to be one of our awesome mods and gather all the super chats and humper chats and whatnot. So that's awesome. So yeah, send in those. We'll read them on the air. Also, because this is technically a free edition of my Fightful Select show, and there are no ads being read on the Fightful Select shows, this is also kind of a plug for Fightful Select. So take some of that money that Santa Claus left in your stocking and put down 5 crisp $1 bills for the next month of Fightful Select. You won't regret it. It's a lot of fun and a lot of good info.
Alex,
and also
I don't
a lot
think
of
we
fun.
accept cash. I think you have to use a credit card.
Put down $5 bills at Western Union and get yourself one of those little free, one of those little debit cards that have, like, you preload with your money. We should accept cash. Listen, I always accept cash. It's the best currency. I won't do that here because that guy's not on this show's.
That is true.
So I know you and and Sean always start with the Rampage, and that's what we'll do tonight as well, because really Smackdown was whatever.
If you already digested it, that's good, because I didn't actually see Smackdown. I only saw the results. I love my family too much.
No. Listen, my family goes to bed early. This is the only thing that
perfect
makes me. Oh, by the way, this is a tradition. My father-in-law every year gives me 2 4-packs of Sprecher root beer, which is the most glorious root beer in the world. And so I'm going to crack one open
today, friend.
I'm going to crack one open. I'm going to crack open a nice sarsaparilla because I need to be sweet to talk about Rampage. Make sure I'm not too sour.
Oh, Alex, don't you dare be sour.
The thing about this is it's made with real Wisconsin honey. So it's like,
really?
it's all natural and stuff. All right. Rampage was sold to us as, hey, Hook's gonna throw a giant dude around the ring. So tune in on Christmas. Leave your family over there drinking eggnog. Sneak down into the basement. Turn on the TV and watch Hook yeet a big dude all over the ring. And that's what we got. That came as advertised. We're just gonna go ahead right to the main event because it's Merry HOOKmas, people. The main event is not whatever you've heard about Cody Rhodes deciding to go into business for himself. Maybe not. We're not quite sure yet. That's not the main event. The main event is Hook. The main event is always Hook. On shows that Hook does not appear, Hook is always the main event.
We had someone on a previous episode say Hook is going to dethrone Roman, which is true. He's going to win the TBS title. He's going to win the TNT title.
I'd rather not do that, though. That would be a bad thing.
Look, as a woman, I'm okay with it.
I mean, if you're all right with it, I guess I have to be fine with it.
No, he deserves every title there's ever been. He's going to win the 24/7 title. That's how good Hook is. All of them. Belt collector Kenny Omega, nothing on Hook.
Yeah. He did his thing, man. He walked down to the ring to the dulcet tones of Action Bronson. And he murdered a man 3 times his size with judo. Like it's just, I mean, we'll get to the one thing that I was like, don't get too cute with this guy. I know what it is. I know. Don't. It's fine. Don't get too cute with this guy, or you're gonna run into problems down the line. But the first thing that blew me away was I've never seen this before. I'm sure it's like a thing they teach you in judo, and people just do it all the time in MMA, which I don't watch. But that one thing where he just like dropped down to his belly, snaked between the dude's legs, and like took him down by like bringing both his elbows and his knees through. Yes. Like swept his legs out in this really fluid motion that I'd never seen before. It was like, hey, you're much bigger than I am. How much bigger are you when you're laying down? Like it was just this really quick thing. It was so cool to watch. He did a release Northern Light suplex. He did that high capture suplex to, again, like, how big is Bear Bronson? Like
real big. He's
340, 350. Like he's a big dude.
They don't call you like Bear anything if you're not huge. Even Bearcat, which was stupid, still big dude.
Bear Grylls, though, that the Man versus Wild dude, he's pretty skinny, but also not a professional wrestler. So I think maybe your hypothesis only applies to professional wrestlers, in which case I think you're dead on.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He just flung that dude over his head.
So between him and when Tay Conti does some judo stuff, I'm like, more wrestlers should be incorporating judo things, from what I can tell, because it seems like a very logical way to keep your stamina up while doing maximum damage to your opponent, because you're using all of their body weight, right? So for Taz's kid, it also makes sense that he's like suplexing people all over the place. And when you're fighting a dude who's that much bigger than you, it makes the most sense. It was cool with Fuego because Fuego just sold the absolute hell out of it.
Yeah.
But this is where it seems like it's its most effective. And when you consider that Will Hobbs is on Team Taz, and maybe at some point that is going to get broken up, that could be a very compelling match and a way to, at that point, I think now make Hobbs look good. I think I am very sold on Hook in only 2 matches. And it's not even just how good he is in the ring. He has all the other stuff down. I'm assuming from watching his dad for a real long time. Very charismatic, gets the in-ring storytelling part like very, very quickly in this. He's really good at the things outside of the moves as well as the moves. So just really, really cool. But let's talk about the thing you didn't like.
Listen.
And I'll tell you why you're wrong.
I mean, I'm not wrong yet.
No, you're not actually wrong at all.
I mean, I listen. Okay, now I love a good no-sell spot. I really do. Like when it works, when it's like in the moment, the adrenaline rush, like you get like lariat, like a lariat or something like that, and you roll through it and pop up or something. Like it's a moment that like will beget a really great crowd reaction, and it's usually done in a I think done best in a back and forth match. Maybe it's a move that you were able to dodge enough that didn't get all of it because you've scouted your opponent so well. Like there's storytelling that allows for a no sell to really, really hit, and I love it when it does.
Our partner Eddie Kingston is phenomenal with that. I feel like he really, really picks his spots on the no sells.
Yes.
Partner.
Now, our friend of the show, Dave Langer, has sent in that apparently Bear Bronson listed as 6'2" and 260 pounds, and I say in his ass 260 pounds. like I love to fudge. I'll drop down maybe a couple. Hey, how much do you weigh? Oh, this week I don't know. Maybe I'll undershoot a little bit for somebody just to see what I can get away with. I don't know. That guy hitting whether you want to call it a Rikishi driver or the greetings from Asbury Park onto Hook. It looked like he got all of it. I mean, I understand the physics of the move that you never really get all of it. Otherwise, your opponent would be dead.
Correct.
But it in the context of what professional wrestling is, it looked like he got all of the move. And I understand the impulse of like, wouldn't it be awesome if then like from behind the dude celebrating, we just get Hook standing up like he's impervious to pain or I don't know, concussions. And I think like it was a cool moment and I laughed. I'm not going to say I didn't laugh, but I was like, you can't make this kid invulnerable. Like things that like what's going to happen when the story is supposed to be told that he's actually in over his head with somebody who's a little bit better than Bear Bronson. You know what I mean? There's and think he's being thrown all over the ring. Well, now he's going to have to sell, but before he didn't. Like I'm always in favor of consistency across the board. When somebody hits their devastating finisher on him and he's got to sell, try to roll toward the ropes or whatever. Like I feel like don't do the Rikishi driver unless you're going to try and get like a 2 count on it. Like him kicking out of the Rikishi driver to me is as impressive as him like getting up and chawing on his gum and then throwing the dude all over the place. I think it worked tonight because we're all in love with Hook still, and we probably will be for a while, which is why I'm like, don't do this in every match because then it's going to become a thing that like he's Wolverine. And I want it to be treated as a professional wrestler as opposed to we're going to script him to be a superhero because then it's going to get, as I said, a little too cute.
No, because then he would be like almost a superhero. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't want to be almost a superhero. That'd be bad. That never works out.
That does not work. Historically, we have seen that people that are almost a superhero doesn't really work. It's Christmas and his second match, and everyone loves him. I am all for the no-sell spot, but I understand what you're saying that cannot be a consistent habit because it was kind of like my complaint with Abaddon and Britt Baker when Abaddon did that, like, which is even trickier because she's supposed to be a woman that thinks she's a zombie or she really is a zombie. We don't really know.
I believe that whatever psychosis she has that makes her believe she's a zombie. Also, like you hear about these people who like for something went wrong. There's like a switch that turned off in their brain and they don't feel pain. Like they can shove a needle through their hand and they're like, I don't feel this. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm not injured. Like there aren't like blood vessels that have been torn apart within my hand, but I don't feel it. Like you hear about those kind of things that happen with something. I believe that whatever caused Abaddon to be like, I'm a zombie, also is the similar thing that caused her to be like, I can get curb stomped onto a chair and I'm totally good.
Okay, I can buy that. And like, actually, with characters that are in a different world, like I said, there's like Undertaker's sell was his no sell, right? Like that was the way he sold.
But at least like he would lay there for a while before he sat up.
Yeah,
like that was the thing. Like he didn't like just pop up immediately. I don't know.
That was kind of like more almost like
honestly,
his Hulk up.
It's a nitpick because I mean, like
because Hook is perfect.
He just like he went in there against Fuego and we're like, that's pretty cool. Like I mean, Fuego made him look like $1 million. But what's going to happen? We thought just 2 short weeks ago. What's going to happen when he gets in there with a guy a little bit bigger than he is? How's this going to work? And then everyone was like, hey, by the way, on Christmas night, Hook versus the big dude. We were like, ooh, what's that going to be like? And it turns out he's just great.
It's going to be awesome. I think there's so much money in him versus Ricky Starks when it gets to that point. I think that's going to be incredible because I mean, I just think the world of Ricky Starks in general, but like someone who's similar enough in stature that wrestles not judo stuff, but like logical fundamental wrestling. Also charismatic as hell. I think that's gonna be such a good feud if and when that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hook is great. Like it's awesome. It's so much fun.
We have some super and humper chats about Hook. Go figure.
No way.
I know. Mark Losper says, how far can they take Hook? Champion? Well, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, it's two matches. So we don't know where any of this is going. I love the idea of him being basically a mute. I really don't ever want to hear him talk. For now, I don't. Like, so I'm interested in seeing like what, like I would say don't push him too fast because it's okay. I did not think that at this point on Christmas night I would be comparing Hook to The Fiend, but The Fiend also had a thing where he was impervious to pain, and he got really over with the crowd, not in the same way Hook is, but like really over with it. People were like, this guy's awesome. I'm not everybody, but a big subsection of that crowd like fell in love with The Fiend, and then they were like, hey, you guys like him so much? Let's put a belt on him. And they're like, well, no, that wasn't what we meant. And then they were like, he's impervious to pain. He's going to take 17 curb stomps, and he's going to be just like Seth Rollins is going to have to try to kill him in a Hell in a Cell, and then he's going to get disqualified. And like, no, you did all of this because you made him impervious to pain and impossible to hurt. Like that's the beginning. That's where it goes. I'm not saying it's going to go there, but not too much, too fast. Otherwise, you run the risk of at this time next year, us being like, hey, Hook, what's the deal with that guy? We haven't seen him on TV in a while. Like, I mean, I don't think they're going to do it, but just never too much too fast. Hook could be champion, let's say 2023-ish. Like, I would love a really slow build to him getting his first title match against somebody. He's got to lose eventually.
And I think TNT champion's a great spot for him. But I think we are getting trios titles, and I also think that Team Taz could be a unit together before that there's full dissension there. Yeah. But he's definitely a champion, but he's so young with these younger dudes. It's like realistically, and I get the complaint of you brought in outside people, blah, blah, blah. Punk and Danielson are in their 40s, realistically. Danielson's an absolute freak of nature in that way. Like he's doing his best wrestling ever, but like, you have to be realistic about people's age. That's why I'm as much as it would make sense for MJF to be a champion. I'm so glad he hasn't, because we got all day with this guy. Like, and there's so much juice in him. Just let it go. Let it unfold and let him get experience, because those two things, he's only going to get better, which is weird. So let him be champion when he's ready.
Exactly. Rob Reed says, Merry HOOKmas. Team Kalex, I called it last week that Hook would suplex Bear Bronson, and boy, did he ever. That overhead capture suplex was nutty.
Yeah.
That was nutty. That needed to be committed. James Nepper says, Merry Christmas, you guys. Sour Graps on a Saturday. It's a Christmas miracle. Pretty impressed with how Rampage spoiler didn't leak easily. And this show didn't disappoint. Yeah. I guess I kind of found out in passing about the other big thing that happened on the show, but I wasn't really looking for it. But I only saw it the one time, which is pretty crazy considering what it was we were talking about. He also says, Alexa, send more Hook. If you're running low on Hook in your house, you can just talk to your Alexa and say, Alexa, I need more Hook. And like, I've added Hook to your shopping list.
Exactly. It'll be like, you're out of Hook. Should we reorder? Thank you for your hooker chat. We are all hookers on Christmas.
Yeah. All of us. It's
beautiful.
Hookers on Christmas sounds like a really edgy Hallmark movie. John Gorman says, Merry Hookmas, Alex and Kate. Smackdown is trash. True. Rampage ruled. God damn, is Hook good? How in the hell is he this smooth in the ring, only wrestling 2 matches into his career? Well, because he's been training in lots of other stuff too that translates. I think that what I love about it is they're using all of his knowledge of judo and shit to make it feel more real. Rather than, just, him going in there and like, hey, collar and elbow tie up. Like it feels like he's in there like he's a professional fighter who decided to become a wrestler. Like it feels, I don't know.
Kind of sounds like what he really did a little bit, but not that's why I'm so blown away by the rest of it other than the moves is like how much, because he hasn't done an indie run. He hasn't figured anything out for himself yet. His ability to not only not be intimidated by, but seemingly thrive off of and understand how to execute the storytelling aspect just blows my mind. That part of it, that he's 2 matches in, because you can teach people moves. The other stuff, you don't know what's going to happen until that person goes out there live.
Reviewing his first match, like he has something you cannot teach, which is presence.
Yeah,
like he just exudes ease. And it's really hard to be like, if you're somebody who's like in your head thinking about, okay, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to do this. Like you can try as hard as you like, but you're never going to be able to remove that from yourself. If you're somebody who walks in the ring like, I know I'm good, and like without being arrogant, he's just there. He's like, I'm good. I'm not good, meaning like I'm good. I'm a good wrestler, meaning I know I'm ready for this moment. Just absolutely so sure of himself.
And I think like that's even more impressive to me because he did kind of get himself over as, like Sean was saying, like a meme wrestler. Like initially my friend said he looked like he's perpetually locked out of a college dorm because he always has like his hoodie up and he's eating Doritos. Yeah. Like to go from that and to reveal so the opposite of that is even more impressive to me, like the gap there. Hook. Merry Hookmas, you guys.
As Frank Aguilera says, my God, pals, Merry Hookmas.
Merry Hookmas to you. It's last gabagool today, so and with your spirit. Happy Hookmas. Merry Hookmas.
Merry Hookmas to everybody.
We also had a new YouTube member, by the way, which is exciting. Thanks, Chuck Cassis, for subscribing to the YouTube membership thing. Yeah, do the membership thing, I guess. That would be awesome. That'd be neat. Thank you, Chuck Cassis, for doing it. I don't even know what it means, but thanks. James Nepper says, with the nods to shades of the past that AEW does, I wonder if we'll follow the career of Hook. We'll see a lot of shades of Taz's career. Oh, yeah. Well, he hasn't like come out as though he is an actual literal caveman. Like that. Remember early Taz and ECW where he's wearing like the one strap singlet and he had the crazy hair and he was like barefoot and walking around like straight up caveman. If he comes out with Hook with 2 Ks like Taz and WWE ECW, and that would be nice because NXT is now WWE ECW and we have Braun Breaker. Yeah. Just some nice synergy there. But my hope is that Hook doesn't really talk that much and that eventually that Taz is his mouthpiece. Like that once I feel like Team Taz has a shelf life because I think Starks is a breakout star. I think Hobbs has some work to do outside of a stable and Hook is God. So I think that we'll see what Miro has to say about that as well on the show. But I think that Taz becoming his mouthpiece and saying like, this is my son, he has the FTW belt or whatever. That's gonna be so awesome and just so sincere. I think that'll be a really like beautiful tribute to Taz's legacy in the business.
Yeah. I think it is kind of interesting though with him is what I've seen people like, oh well, they're probably going to do a thing where like Taz is going to show favoritism to his son and Ricky's going to get jealous, but they're going to like jump Ricky out of the gang or something and turn Ricky Stark's face. I'm like, I honestly think that you could do that, except for the fact that everyone literally loves Hook. Like we were getting a "We want Hook" chant before they went to break before his match. There was a very loud "We want Hook, we want Hook," and people were booing Bear Bronson for doing stuff in the match, just for like existing. Like,
on top of that, like I don't have a huge interest in seeing Ricky Starks as a face before we see him on a real run as a heel in this company. He's such a great heel. And I also don't think it needs to be that convoluted. Let the organic buzz around Hook carry him. Let a heel Starks lose clean, and then let Taz just be really fucking proud of him.
Yeah.
And then go from there. That's how I book it. But you could do that. You could more forcefully, but we see that with stables all the time. I think like a more organic breakup might be really nice. And I also, and Sean said this Friday, and I agree, I like stables that have some diversity in them. Not it doesn't have to be a heel stable. Like you can have people that hang out together. Have you ever had a group of friends where you're like, that guy's an asshole, but we kind of like him, and that guy's so sweet and we love him? Like you can have that in the same group of people and still buy into the idea that they hang out with each other.
Yep. So for those viewers wondering, Mark Losper says, has heel SRS put a time limit on this show? Not that I know of, but we'll be done before then. Like most of what we're going to talk about is Rampage, because SmackDown, Kate didn't watch.
I didn't watch it yet.
It was. I will explain like two things to her and ask her questions about her thoughts about.
And I'll probably just take my headphones and throw
them away.
Yeah. But you can listen to you rant about it yesterday, correct?
No. This is the one thing.
Oh, this is it. This is the ball game.
I didn't.
Boom.
I decided I'm not going to do one on Christmas Eve and
you loved yourself.
Christmas night. Yeah,
you chose love.
I did. JW Pringle keeps up the saga from our Tuesday night show. He says, "Merry Christmas, Kate's mom and dad. Keep cool, gabagool, and also with you."
And with your spirit. I don't know if they're watching now because we don't watch wrestling and it's Christmas. But we had a lovely time.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you, JW Pringle. If they were watching, I'm sure they would say hi right back to you.
Jay Blood says you got to do the Ricky getting jealous of Hook turning Team Taz face. Now, it would be really interesting. Like, I don't know. Oh, gosh, we'll see where they go with this. I think that when you split Team Taz, obviously Taz is going to go with his kid. And then if Ricky gets jealous, the question then is, where does Hobbs' allegiance lie? And if Hobbs goes with Ricky and they become like this 2-man power trip type of like, cause with Ricky with a heater, like with like Hobbs could be a lot of fun as a heel act away from Team Taz. Does Team Taz just need Hook to be, is it a 1-man team with Taz as his mouthpiece? I think if Taz, I love Taz on commentary, but if Taz just wanted to be out there and his son never had to cut a promo because he's got his old man in there who's great at cutting promos, and that's what they do from here on out. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things there. The world is the oyster of Team Taz and Hook. So let's just go through the rest of the stuff. We got a Jungle Boy versus Isaiah Cassidy match
to start the show,
which was good. That was the opening match. It was good. Isaiah Cassidy, I think, like he's one of those guys who are like, hey, I don't recognize how good you are because I love watching your tag team so much. Think it's so much fun it is. I don't recognize how good of a wrestler he is because he's usually just doing awesome, fun, high flying spots. But he's good, and this match was good. There was a little bit of gang wars they got in there with Hardy Family Office. Didn't we already do the Christian and Matt Hardy thing? We doing more of that? I hope not. I don't need any more of it. Like, I think it's fine, but like, it's kind of cool to watch Christian and Matt Hardy punch hitter because it feels like 20 years ago. But at the same time, like, I'm just waiting for that Christian to turn on Jungle Boy and we get that thing. Like, I'm waiting for that. Like, that's the thing I'm waiting for. So
I don't know if we're going to get that super soon, though, because what if I can't operate on a hypothetical or what potentially could be, but I think we might, if we do get trios at Battle of the Belts, they might be a trio for a little bit longer. I don't need them to like run Christian and Matt Hardy back by any means. And I don't really, there was not like a real reason for this match, but that's fine. Like, it was entertaining. I really like when they kick off a show that normally starts at 10 p.m. 9 tonight, but to start off a late show with like a very high energy match in the beginning. And when you're there in the live crowd, after you've already seen Dynamite and Dark taped, it's really nice to have something that's going to pick you up. I agree with you on Isaiah. That happens to me a lot with the Dark Order, where I forget how good they are, especially because they're so silly and they don't have a ton of TV time. And then they get in the ring and you're like, oh, damn, Dark Order. Like, Stu Grayson is ridiculous. The only tag team that doesn't happen with me is FTR. But like, for some reason, I'm always aware of how great they are individually and as a unit. I think because Dax Harwood is just so great, and they're so psychologically sound that the way that they stand out as a tag team sometimes just has individual strengths with it. But this was a great way to open the show. Jungle Boy is over as hell. I think it would be smart to put gold on him in the next 6 months or so, because people love that guy, and why wouldn't you? He's real fun.
Yeah, they love the boy and his dinosaur.
They do, and his theme.
Everyone who desperately wants the proud and powerful Ortiz and Santana to be next up, I get it. I think the writing's on the wall. It's got to be Jungle. It's got to be Lucha Express, not Lucha Express, right? Jungle Express. It's got to be them at some point, because the fans just love them so much, and that way you don't have to, like, with only the 2 belts, and we're like, yes, you got to put gold around Jungle Boy at some point. This is the easy way to do it. It doesn't have to be a long reign. It really doesn't. But I feel like it's they're right now they're number 1 contenders. So Jurassic Express.
Yeah, not Jungle Express. I call them Lucha Express all the time, though.
Luchasic.
Danielson, Dragon Nielsen,
Junguchastic Express.
That's them. That's that team. So with Proud and Powerful too, if it's going to be them and Eddie Kingston, I'm going to lose my mind on trios. But I also think it was like, man, Luchasaurus was injured for a little bit, and Jungle Boy kind of looked like maybe he was lining up for a TNT title run, and then they did the Christian angle. Like, I think they know they want to put gold on him, but he was becoming the breakout star, so it's like, is that going to be TNT title gold? And then they ran into so many other things, right? So I think tag titles or a trios title would be good for them, but you got to do something with Proud and Powerful. I would love them as either inaugural champs or initial challengers with Eddie Kingston, because they gotta, I think it would be nice for them to give Eddie Kingston some wins too, because even though he doesn't need them, it would be nice for him to get them, I think.
Would be good. It would be very good. It does feel like we're headed to a Chris Jericho comes back and says, Eddie Kingston, what are you doing with my friends? Those are my friends. They're mine. They belong to the inner circle. They're mine. And Eddie Kingston's like, come on and get him, partner. And I think that could be a lot of fun. Anyway.
My only issue with that is there is just no part of me that doesn't believe that Eddie Kingston would kick the ever-living shit out of Jericho.
And you should
maybe he will.
That. You should believe that because it's true, and yet booking. So
But that might be a way to get the inner circle to break up, though. Like he might do that.
Don't tease me with this with a can of talk, man.
No,
That's I've been wishing for that for now almost a year. Okay, so we'll talk quickly about Kris Statlander, and then we'll get to the double main event. Which is
Is so weird doing a show with you about a product we like.
I know, so the double main event, one being Cody versus Sammy, and the other one being the Miro promo. So Kris Statlander versus Layla Hirsch was really good, except for why don't we see Layla Hirsch more often? Why don't we see her more often? Why isn't she considered like I honestly was shocked she wasn't originally in the TBS tournament. Not that I thought she was going to like go very far in it, but like it was. I always thought like I get the idea. Hey, these 4 women get buys or whatever, but like you at least have 4 other women you could put in there and they could beat. You know, like that would be fun.
They had the time. Like this was a multi-month tournament, so I'm with you on that. I've been before she even signed, I found out about Layla through the collective before she was at AEW, which was not long before she got signed, and I was blown away by her. I think she's so great. I think she could be one of their biggest talents. I've been saying put her in Team Taz for a long time. I think that would be so much fun to have legit Layla on Team Taz. It's like almost a no-brainer to me. I don't know why they don't do it. She's great, and this match made me be like, I don't want Jade to be the title holder. And I get that it's going that way or looks to be, but I hope she drops sooner rather than later because I was like, I want the title holder to be, for the TBS title, this type of person, either Layla or Statlander.
Yeah.
I want a woman who can work, and when they hold an open challenge, I believe that someone, tiny as she may be, I really believe legit Layla could beat women of any type. And I believe Jade can be one type of woman, and that's a woman who is smaller than her, who is inexperienced. And I get it. I get why. But I was like, that's not what I want anymore at all.
I think the story is to keep the very charismatic, star quality, unbeatable monster unbeaten until you have the story you want to beat her. And I think the story could be Ruby does it. I don't think Thunder Rosa's doing it. I don't think you're going to do it in the semifinals. Yeah. I think the match could be great. I think Thunder Rosa could take Jade to the best match she could possibly have, type of thing. But I feel like as much as I would love to see, are you kidding me? Thunder Rosa and Ruby Riott just go out there and kill it for 17 minutes on the first ever Dynamite with like just an amazing wrestling match between 2 pros. Yes, absolutely. But I don't think that's what we're going to get. I think either somehow Ruby, everyone's favorite, like she's a super underdog, baby face, loved by the crowd. Either somehow she beats Jade in the finals of the tournament to become the first ever TBS champion, like overcoming injury and all this kind of stuff they'll do. Or like she has a great match and we think she's got it, but then Jade pulls it out and she's your first inaugural TBS champion. And I think the star quality of that is important for her to be that.
Sure.
And I think you're right. She can lose it fairly quickly. And I think a perfect person, if you wanted to build up as the person who dethrones the Goliath, is your little David, Layla Hirsch. I think she'd be perfect for that story. Of all the ones that are too small to get it done, like if you throw women up against Jade in her first, like let's say 3 title defenses, and they're all too small, like she just keeps saying too small when she's tossing them around the ring, whatever, too small. And then Layla gets the shot, and you're like, are you kidding? Like, there's no way. And Layla does it. That would be an amazing story. It'd be an easy thing for us to get behind. It's a classically told story of David versus Goliath. I think Layla would be an amazing workhorse champion afterwards. And it's one of those other ones. It's somebody we haven't seen in the title picture a lot, if
Correct.
ever. So like that's a kind of a cool thing to like make the TBS thing a separate thing. Not you're not quite good enough to be AEW Women's Champion, but you can be TBS champion.
Yeah.
Like there might be a stigma there. I'm not saying it's deserved, but it might exist. So that's maybe why you will want to keep people away from who have had a lot of shots over there away from the TBS title for at least a bit.
I also think the way you get Layla to Jade is to have her and Serena in the finals of the Owen Hart thing. Oh man, if you build Layla up that way, like what I wouldn't give to see Owen Hart's name represented by a match between Serena Deeb and Layla Hirsch. I think that would be so great. Also, and somebody raised this in the chat, but I was thinking about this too. Ember Moon / Athena's non-compete is going to be coming up at some point soon. And if she hands Jade her first loss for the title, that could be real, real cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, eventually you're going to have to do the, I just got brought in and for this match and I won the title because you keep doing we're bringing somebody in who's not signed, but they're getting a title shot. Eventually you got to pay that off. And I think there's it's a great opportunity to do it would be one with Athena, the former Ember Moon. The Nerd Guru says, it's bad that every week when we see other women shine like this, we think less and less of Jade being champion. It should be Rosa or Ruby. Listen, I don't want to say that like Jade is really new in her career.
And her strengths are just not the strengths that I love the most about wrestling.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like there's a thing about her. They are absolutely protecting her and keeping her faults hidden. Like they're letting her go out there and wrestle a match that makes her look good, which is fine. Like you and I can sit there and be like, well, obviously they're protecting her, whatever. And yet people who are maybe a little less in the biz can watch and be like, this woman's unstoppable. Like there's nobody you can beat her. Like I remember being that kind of person watching wrestling, and actually I was probably happier watching it because
we all were.
That brain that was like, come on now.
God. I talk about it all the time that when I first started watching, the Stable Legacy was like a huge deal. Yeah. And I remember being incensed that Randy Orton was just cheating and getting away with it. Yeah. Like those moments are great. And I believe fully, no matter who the person is, there's a lot of value in building an undefeated person up to be champion and their first loss loses them the title. Mm-hmm. That story to me kind of always works because if you're undefeated, you're dominant. If you're a champion, you're dominant. So then losing it all at once, you should be insanely livid about it and in disbelief. So that could be a great thing with her. My only other, and it's so nitpicky, I hate the rankings. I hate them so much.
Yeah.
I wake up every day and I curse the rankings. I hate them, Alex, because you went out of your way to create a device that doesn't mean shit. It feels very WWE to me. I don't like that sometimes it means you're the number one contender and sometimes you're just there. And they were like, oh, these women are fighting to be in the top 5 of these meaningless rankings. Get out of town and take a bus with that. It's Christmas. My gift would be for the rankings to go away forever. Just call it a heat chart of people that are supposed to be important in the company or make it mean something. You know who made it mean something? ROH. And look how well that turned out for them. Obviously, I know what I'm talking about.
I started corpsing because you dipped into your New York Princess voice.
Oh no!
I wake up in the morning and
I hate them, Alex.
The rankings. I hate them so much. And I
Merry Christmas to you all. I hate the rankings.
I don't know. I think that she could be something really special. I just don't think she's there yet. And I understand why they don't want to take the foot off the gas with her right now. I think there's something like, here's the thing. AEW is a, what do we call it? It's a buffet. You get to go in and pick the things that you want, and you don't, and they won't want. And I think you and I, we like to go over to the cutting station where they're cutting up prime rib, and that's just us getting to watch great wrestling matches, and we get technical stuff going back and forth. And some people want to go right over to the fried foods and get something that tastes good but is really bad for them, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But like the thing is that she's like, they don't have a lot of that on the menu.
No,
like, and they could really use somebody who just looks like an absolute megastar. She walks down there and go, who the hell is that? Like, they have all these other people who we know because we watch wrestling are these technical wizards, but they don't have that's thing. True. You know what I mean? And I think that's maybe why Hook is catching on so well, because he's kind of a bit of both. Like, you look at him and you go, who's that? That guy's got really crazy presence, and then he can go in the ring on top of it. But it would, one thing, if like, imagine if Hook was like 6'5" and 260 pounds with 3% body fat, like, and was also like the male model and the crazy hair and the judo crazy expert, like all of that. It's a very interesting thing. Yeah, there you go. Anyway. I thought this match was really good. It was a cool little back and forth between two different styles. Like, it was almost kind of like the match that Layla would have to wrestle versus somebody like Jade, because Chris is much bigger than she is.
And she also did that at the NWA Women's Pay-Per-View.
Camille. Yeah.
And Camille is not my favorite in the ring, and to an incredibly well done match. Yeah. And I think Kris Statlander, since coming back from her injury, is doing her best work, which is impressive in itself to come back from that extensive of an injury. And she's been unreal. I thought that the match she had with Britt Baker was one of the most underrated. I think everybody keeps going back to Thunder Rosa and Britt, and I get it, but that match was one of Britt's best. And part of the reason it was Britt's best is because what Kris did in it, realistically.
Yeah. Mark Losper says, I'm going to go back to that one in a second. Hold on. Okay, we got this. Brian Moore says, I love when Taz breaks down people's strengths and technical advantages, especially women's competition. How good are Layla and Kris? They are very, 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 very good, both of them.
I miss when he was like breaking down the moves, when it was like Taz's moves thing. I think because he's a manager now, you don't want to do that too much, but I loved that.
That's true. Eternally Lost says, Layla is great, and I'm hoping with the refusal spot at the end that she's going to be leading somewhere. I need my pint-sized powerhouse in gold. Yeah. So Kris submitted her with this like upside down crab thing that looked really painful. And cool. Then she offered a hand to shake to Layla, and Layla said nope, and she walked away. And that's usually, they don't usually do that spot for no reason. Usually there's something beyond that. So I'm very intrigued to see what's going to come of that. But
give me that as a feud, please. Sure. Run that back a bunch. Honor is real to some of us, and Kris Statlander is one of those.
The thing is that I think they have the roster and they have the time now to do 3 consistent women's feuds at a time. Once the TBS title is there, that's a feud for the TBS title. Whatever's going on there, whatever the TBS champion is doing, if it's an open challenge or whatever, that's a thing that's going on every week. Whatever's going on with the women's champion, like you're usually you have Britt just talking backstage, but like you could do something where people have to like wrestle each other to get, who's number 2 and 3. They should have a match to see who actually gets the Britt Baker match at the pay-per-view.
Oh, like the rankings would mean something?
I don't know. They could be. You could make them mean something. They don't have to mean nothing. Like, I get your frustration with them, but you could actually do something with them as opposed to just, hey, here are our rankings, and then they don't actually mean anything.
Oh, that's my thing. In or out, not this halfway thing.
The other thing is that you could do a non-title, really fun feud that gets both of your of those participants in that feud over to a point that they could be the next challenger for the TBS title or the next person to go up against Britt, because you've done enough work outside of the title picture to actually bring them up to a point where we actually are rooting for one or both of them.
I think like Shida and Deeb have been doing, but like with the intention of going for the title. I think that's a very good call.
Exactly.
I've loved that.
That's the point. We got a couple of things about the Jade stuff. Mark Losper says AEW rarely does something that puts heat on them as opposed to characters. Jade would be one of those moves for me. See, I'm not willing to like, I would have to see how they handle her title reign. Like if they're like, she's going to be champ for a year and she's only going to work 3-minute matches. Yes, that would be terrible. I believe they'll have a plan for what they're going to do with her, and maybe she's going to get better. She's going to be tested. Whatever we're going to go with it, I believe there's going to be something there. I don't think they're making this decision lightly. I think they know they have something, and they're planning on doing something there.
I also don't think this title is going to be something that's booked out for long term.
Yeah.
I think that should be a title that switches hands more often.
Yeah. Jay Blood says they clearly see the opportunity to create a China-like star with massive crossover appeal in Jade. It's hard for a boss to not book her to win. Like she looks like a superhero. Like she really does. Like
she does. I like the China comparison. I hadn't thought of that, which is it's an obvious one. I probably should have. But this is the other thing. As much as I don't love it, I do like it, because what is the point of a monster who loses? That's what's going on with Nyla Rose right now this whole time. That's been my complaint with her. She can never win the big one, which is its own story. But you can't have someone that's that charismatic, that big, going around calling herself that bitch that loses.
Right.
That doesn't work. So
No.
I don't hate it. I think it makes wrestling sense. It's just not my favorite type of wrestling sense.
Yeah. Then your guru says that Britt's reign has only had feuds based on the rankings. So the confidence in having women's feuds outside of that have wavered. Although then your guru also wants it, as so do I. I think it's all there. You just need to do it. I don't feel like you have the roster, you have the time figured out. They've done a great job, I think, with the Shida and Deeb thing. They've done a great job with it. And I feel like maybe 5, half dozen, like 7, 8 women like have defined personalities and overarching stories of like where they're going to, who they have alliances with and rivalries with, and you can just plug them in whenever you need something, which is valuable. Like if you've actually created consistent characters, then you can figure out a way to use them whenever you need them, which is important. Then we just need to like figure out a way for you to need them more, so they're on TV all the time.
It's like they're doing with the men's division.
Yeah, it's crazy. You would think that's not allowed, right? Valab says that Miro is still stuck in the Matrix. Boy, is he ever. We got a Miro promo. And God, I love this guy. And I just love that. Listen, give me every 2 weeks, give me one of these. If he needs some time, still heal up from whatever he's got going on, just give me one of these every couple of weeks, and I'll be good. Because my goodness, this, like, and he's just there in a completely white back in a void. He's in purgatory. And he says, "You won't stop me from becoming champion because we both know you don't have the balls." And I was like he not only says, "I don't think you have the balls, God." He says, "We both know you don't have the balls." He is so confident in the testicular like vacancy that God possesses that he says that even God knows that there's 0 balls.
Okay, here's the thing. You know I'm over the balls promo
because
we get it 3 times a week. Here are the exceptions. When someone says testicular vacancy, that's fine. When it's God, that's okay. And when somebody starts just on commentary calling it a yam bag, that's also okay, because that happened last week. I feel like it feels like they're listening to the people on being over the balls promo, because now it's done this way where it's he told God he doesn't have the balls. Can God even redeem these nuts? Like, how does this even work? I have so many questions. I'm loving this for Miro. I think he might be your next challenger for Page if he's healthy. I think he's a great next up for Adam Page after this Danielson stuff is resolved.
I also just love he's some of these promos, the certain turns of again, I love it because it's parody. It's obviously really well written parody because he does things like, you stand between a man and his flexible hot wife. That's not the thing, because also he'll do that, which is obviously written as a joke, and then he'll do something and deliver it so seriously, like, I will look into my opponent's faces and I will ask them why. What have they done? And I will make them all burn. And then you will either take joy in my cruelty or shame in yours. That's fucking Shakespeare, man. That's like you're railing against God to the heavens, and I will punish everyone until you allow me to be your favorite champion again. And until then, you must take joy in my cruelty, or you must take shame in your cruelty to me. That's really, really great shit. I don't understand where these are coming from, but I love them so much.
And how do you lock that up in the same thing as him saying my hot flexible wife in these promos?
It works.
It's so great. I've said a couple of times that there's been a lot of, when the chains come off from WWE, this is what we get. The two guys that I truly don't understand how you miss have been Miro and Malachi Black for very different reasons. But the how do you miss what's in front of you factor with Miro just keeps being reiterated to me over and over again every time we see this, because he's so great. And I think there's a lot of value with him winning, and I think his title reign was so wonderful, but he's also a guy that can eat some losses because the story is it's about his relationship with God right now. You know what I mean? If he loses to Adam Page, he's not going to be hurt by that, because he's just gonna develop his character and his story further. And it's been just awesome. This has been so much fun to see Miro grow into this version of himself.
Jay Blood says, God has no balls, theologically sound, and a serious flex. Amir F says, God sent Miro to the white space and he's trying to get out. Brent Lockman says, Miro was born on Christmas. This is true. And he's feuding with God. So does he just have daddy issues, which would make Miro Jesus? And I'm really into that story. That's a hell of a twist. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot too. I also saw someone say, is the white room he's in, is he in an asylum? Has he gone crazy because of his relationship with God? I don't hate that either.
Could be.
That's fun.
So Thomas LaValle says, Merry HOOKmas. Birthday boy Miro is going to be fighting with God, with birthday boy Jesus, the special guest referee. Keep cool, Gabagools.
I mean, we've seen God in the ring before. He's 2-0. He's undefeated in tag competition. So see how he does against someone other than the McMahons. With Shawn Michaels at his side.
Yeah. Jay Blood has said something about the entirety of this episode. 4 bangers. Miro publicly plotting the murder of God. Hook no-selling the greetings from Asbury Park. And Cody gives the audience what they love to hate. We got a Cody Rhodes versus Sammy little promo thing here. And Cody never spoke during this thing with Mark Henry.
But who did?
Arn.
Glock Anderson, baby.
He's like, son, he says to Sammy, wrestlers your age and your size usually refer to me as Mr. Anderson. And I was just like, what? He's too small to call you Arn. It's just a wonderful, old school, stupid old man thing to say. And then Sammy's like, he's disrespectful blatantly to both Arn and Cody, and he walks off. And Cody never gets to talk because Mark Henry says it's time for the main event, and it was, and it was a really, really, really good match. I did love in Sammy's promo. He says that 2 years ago, this would have been a bigger match for me than you. But I'm the champion and you're the challenger. So stop trying to make it look like I'm trying to live up to you now. Which I thought was great. And the match played out in that way. I thought it was a really well plotted out match. I think had the match happened, like I've been watching the match live, like it was on a Dynamite or a live episode of Rampage, I would have been really shocked that they decided to go this route. The fact that it was taped and on Christmas, and it was just like, all right, I see you, Cody. I see what you're doing. But like he did two crossroads, and then a Tiger Driver. He faked the pedigree. That's going to be the moment.
Yes.
Now, that's the moment when he hits the pedigree. We will know that he's done it. That he has done what he's set out to do, and that is going to be the cherry on top of the full Cody heel turn when he does the pedigree. I'll tell you, like, I don't hate it yet. We'll see what this reign is, but I think it's one of those deals of like Cody is setting this up. This is the Cody slow burn turn is a storyline worth using this belt for. I think I guess we could look back on it in a year, and if they haven't actually gone through with it yet, or if they did and it didn't work or whatever, then maybe we can look back and say we were wrong. But I think it's worth doing this title change depending on what comes after it. But it looks very, very much like he's going to be moving on immediately into a thing with Scorpio Sky and or Ethan Page. They've already done the legwork setting that up. So that's, I think Scorpio Sky is one of those guys who should have a TNT title run. I don't think it needs to be a long one either. So it might be one of those things that we may see 2 transitional champs in a row to get to something that there might be something of a longer one. I will say this though. I really do like Sammy. I think he's really, really good in the ring. I think he's really talented. I thought that his as a baby face, he's as a fiery kind of like a cocky little bitch kind of a baby face, like this guy says he talks a lot of shit, but he can back it up type of guy. I think it works. I will say that I was livid when they took the belt off of Miro to put it on Sammy. This is now months ago. I was like, Miro's been white hot. Like everyone's like, oh, but you can't. Sammy's momentum, it's been crazy. Like, has it though? Like, yeah, he got the pin in the Double or Nothing CM Stampede match, but he's still just Jericho's kid brother. That's all he's been, and that's what I thought when he won the match. And I was like, I know he can wrestle. I'm not saying he's not going to have good matches as the TNT champion. I'm just saying, like, what are we doing with an overall story arc for him? And it still feels like, even with Jericho gone, that his biggest character trait is Jericho's kid brother. And I feel like that's not his fault. That's what they've decided to do with both him and the title reign. And I feel like that's kind of a misstep in that way. But because they misstepped with his title reign booking so far, not that I'm saying the matches were bad, I'm saying that there's no real cohesive story for him. I think you can do this title change for Cody because that story is so much more important than whatever it is you got going on with Sammy. I think Sammy's really good. And the question of where does he go from here? I don't know. There's literally 100 dudes he could start wrestling next week and have a feud with You know, he doesn't have to be tied to Chris Jericho, especially now that Chris Jericho's gone.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. So my complaints with Sammy's reign are similar to yours. I don't like that he didn't win it at a pay-per-view. I don't like that he didn't drop it at a pay-per-view. I don't think he defended it at a pay-per-view because we were getting all the inner circle nonsense with the like, there's a bunt cake, Minnesota street fight or whatever that was. So it just doesn't make a title feel important. His whole reign got mired. I wanted it to stay on Miro. I didn't hate it dropping to Sammy because I feel like Miro's
my guy, obviously. Like,
he's your dude.
The guy, yeah.
But I also get what you're saying. If you're gonna, I felt like Miro had made the belt and the belt had made Miro, and if you've done that, you've had a successful reign. My problem was when they had him drop it. That should be a moment, right? That should do something for the guy because Miro has been a monster. So having Sammy, it feels like Nakamura having the IC title and working with Rick Boogs, having Sammy be your champion in a stable, not really defending it while they're in that mired storyline with godforsaken Dan Lambert.
There was one pay-per-view cycle during his title reign, and he was part of a 10-man tag.
And not even a good one, like, in my opinion. It was, like, goofy. And it wasn't like he was in a stable, like, it was him, and then Proud Powerful also had titles. They were not a dominant stable. So, and then it was, I felt like his reign was just getting going, and they ended it. Now, I agree with you. A great way to turn someone heel is to have him drop the title to one of the four pillars, and then take it away from one of the four pillars. And I think, I've said it for a while, Cody's going to give a promo about the whole reason this company even exists is because of him, and they started booing him for no reason and whatever. And I think he's going to give a promo that we're going to talk about for decades. I think that promo, when it happens, is going to be incredible because I think Cody is great at that. I get why people had their issues with the promo. I don't fully understand why people started booing Cody outside of that. I don't get the narrative that he was constantly booking himself over because he beat Ogogo, pretty much booked himself to lose every other feud than that. I think he got handcuffed by the fact that Malachi Black is really fucking cool and people wanted to cheer for that guy.
I think that's, to me, that's the one for me is when he had the match with Malachi shows up, attacks him. He has the first match with Malachi. Malachi dominates him in like 6 minutes.
And he was like, we live in a world where, and then he like kicked his head off.
He set that up as almost like a joke. But then he starts like taking the boot off. He takes the one boot off and whatever, and it was like teasing retirement, right? I think it would have been just great if he had just left and we didn't know when we would see Cody again. And it felt like he came back like in 3 weeks. I mean, it probably wasn't that quick, but it felt like he came back in like 3 weeks. It was like, no. Like, let us miss you. Like, if you're going to come back, make it a big arc. Like, I feel like that was because you could have just had like Malachi running through all of your boys while you're gone and just decimating them. And where is Cody? Where is Cody? Will Cody come back? And they didn't give it enough time to do that. They didn't give it enough time to do that properly.
I am glad they're turning him though. This feels like what they should have done with Cena, in my opinion. I get why they didn't do it with Cena either. But like, when you start getting mixed reactions, to me, the fun thing is lean into the booze. And I think it's going to be really, really good when it happens. And I think the belt is a good way to get you there. And it protects Sammy from an uneventful title reign. Because it doesn't really matter who Cody drops to until they build the story, right? Yeah. And I'm not convinced this isn't maybe the first return that we have. Maybe Cody takes this, turns heel, and then Sammy wins it right back. Or maybe this is a feud that continues for a little bit and makes Sammy in a different way or whatever. I'm hoping what happens is we get heel Cody with this belt. He drops it, but in his heelness uses this to override what he had said about never challenging for the title. And we get like Miro and then maybe like another, maybe MJF or something, and Cody with Adam Page. And I mean, Cody versus Adam Page, and he's just breaking everything he said he would do. Like,
yeah, no,
let's get to power hungry Cody. I like that.
That's the thing, is that that I think the problem is there's a multiverse of things that I want to happen with this Page reign. There's all these people that I want to take it from him, because I think it'll make everybody. And I think the person I think who needs the rub the least probably has the absolute most impactful storyline, which is Cody. Like there's like, if he were to somehow bait Adam Page into demanding that Cody get a title shot, and then deliberately cheat to win, and then hit the pedigree to become AEW champion, which he promised he would never become, like creating like the mega heel that, not like he runs the business. Like in kayfabe, he could run Tony Khan out and say, I'm in charge now. I'm the reason this place even exists.
Oh man, what if that's how we got to Punk?
I mean, you could do a lot of interesting things.
Man.
The stuff that I want, maybe notwithstanding, like that's probably the biggest story you could do with Adam Page dropping the title. But there's a long way to go before we get there, because I just, there's a lot of stuff to do. Amir F says, I don't hate Cody as much as others, though I think his entrance is over the top. Crapshank every time. It's designed to. He's the only one who gets to enter from neither tunnel. He climbs up from below, lit like an angel. Like, it's just crazy. He ascends from hell, lit from heaven. In the middle, he is neither good nor evil. Yeah, he knows what he's doing, and I almost hate him for it.
Do you remember being the Elite when they had Silver to like something Cody Rhodes? Yeah, it was. I feel like they're very good at making fun of that. Yeah.
Sensei Tiswald. I love the fact that in the act of Cody setting up the Tiger Driver 98, he teases the pedigree every time he ever hits it. I will pop so hard. He is definitely teasing that, and that is going to be the moment. That's going to be the moment when that happens.
Yeah, because he's used a golden shovel and a sledgehammer. Like, he knows what he's doing.
I think Daniel R says, I think Cody should say how everybody is lying. Nobody likes him. And then bang, out comes Keith Lee, and Keith Lee beats him with the title for his first night. And he says, thank you for doing this on Christmas. Listen,
you're welcome.
This was 13 years ago. Christmas 2008 was my first and only Christmas in Los Angeles, and my roommates had left for Christmas to like go home. And I was working at a Macy's, and I was working on Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas, and it wasn't worth it to like fly home to be with my parents for one Christmas, for Christmas Day, and that was it. I needed the job at Macy's because I needed to make rent. It was terrible. And I was like, I really wanted to get hired on like as beyond a seasonal worker. I really want this job. I know I'm doing well. I'm impressing the people. They didn't hire me on, they fired me. But I was like, I'm gonna stay. So I was in an apartment in Sherman Oaks by myself on Christmas with like the presents my parents. This is before FaceTime, so like I could like call my parents over the phone and like open the presents that they sent me through the mail, and I was like, oh hey, thanks, I really needed these socks. Like, it was just I know how Christmas night can suck for people in a lot of different ways. For me, that's mine. There's other people who just like, I don't really need to be around my family right now, or I'm working, whatever. Like, we were driving around to see Christmas lights. Every McDonald's in Milwaukee is open with a drive-through line around the block. And I'm like, what are you people? It's Christmas night. Anyway, I'm happy to do this on Christmas. My wife and my daughter are upstairs asleep, and this is my therapy.
I celebrated with my loved ones, and I'm slightly bummed that my sister has COVID. So I was like, "Sign me up, let's do it."
Mm-hmm.
And we have a good little community here.
We do, and I like that's good. Techno Vixen says they should honestly set up the next storyline for Sammy to be Kip Sabian coming back and targeting him, running back the first pinning Sammy ever took at the company. 4-pillar pinned by Fallen Pillar, feeding to Kip's underrated and over it. Interesting. But I have not even thought about Kip Sabian in a very long time, since Miro tried to murder him and then gave him a hug. Like, correct. I haven't thought about him in a while, but that would be an interesting thing since they did have that match very early on in Dynamite.
I'm wondering, I always like hate hypothesizing on things because Sean didn't tell me anything. This isn't like news. I'm wondering if, because his contract was in the match, I think that was expired or expiring. I'm wondering if it's tough news for him because he has been wearing a box on his head to no avail. But that's good creative. That's more creative than anybody's given him. So. Yeah.
Volub says, adrenaline in my soul.
Adrenaline in my soul. something, Cody Rhodes.
3-time champion Cody Rhodes. Sheesh. Merry HOOKmas, you filthy animals, and may Gabagool be with you, and also with you, Volub. Ryan Lambert.
That's the thing with this is like I don't like it, and I'm not supposed to like it.
Yeah,
that's the gimmick.
Yeah, yeah. Ryan Lambert says, "Merry Saturday, Alex and Kate. So, did Cody die for our sins tonight? Seeing as he won on Christmas." I think the Christmas thing is a very, very important thing with the Greensboro Coliseum, and David Crockett is there. They used to run really big shows on Christmas night back in the day of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So I think that's kind of a nod, a very, very important thing for Cody to do it on Christmas. Tyler Venue says, Cody's going to change the black strap to stars and stripes. Go full Homelander. God bless AEW. I wouldn't put it past him. I like that. Jay Blood says, I know we keep discussing Cody as if the turn hasn't happened, but isn't this how you work heel to a smart audience? I mean, it's possible that the turn's already happened and we haven't seen it yet. But I mean, like, there's going to be a moment where it's undeniable. Like, it's just, you know.
And it's undesirable to undeniable. I think, to me, beating someone, if the narrative, though, in my opinion, is false, because if you look at Cody and you look at everybody else, like, he hasn't booked himself that way. But to then fulfill that on Christmas feels very, very heel to me. Right. So I think it's coming real soon.
Ty Noel says, I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I thought the main event was fine. I abhor the finish. Cody doesn't need to win the TNT championship to turn heel. Well, I don't think this is that yet. Far be it from me to ever say this to anybody. I think we need to let it play out. I know. I'm such a hypocrite.
No, because I don't have a problem with letting things play out if I feel like you're not rewriting the show 14 minutes before it goes on.
Yeah.
Tony Khan knew who he wanted his first 4 champions to be in the first 2 years of the company, and it stayed that way.
Yeah.
That never happens. So I don't have a problem with letting things play out. I have a problem with getting punished for letting things play out because they don't play out. But in this case, I think I will, because I think Cody just knows what he's doing. Like, he's too smart at this.
Yeah. The Nerd Guru says, Merry Christmas, keep cool, Gabagool.
And also with you.
Hook is our Lord and Savior since Miro will be killing God. And F Cody Rhodes. Why did Miro lose then? Why? Now Cody feuds with Dan Lambert? Yikes. I mean, that's the next thing he's going to do. I don't know if it's you know, a long thing he's going to do, but I mean, just feel like they're, you know, starting in that direction.
If they wanted to turn him back face, the best way you could do that with me is have him kick Dan Lambert into oblivion and never appear on my screen again.
That'd be it. Ryan Largent says, I think Cody is more screwing around with Smarks, who are on the Cody is basically Triple H / Cody Lander train with the shovel and double underhook. I mean, like there are lots of layers to this. Like, it is, depending on your own proclivities, you can see what he's doing in different lights, and I think that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, and he's a big nerd about it, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't he wearing like Homelander gear?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know things in that world very well, but like he's very intentional with these things, you guys.
Yeah. Malachi also enters from center as a foil to Cody's entrance. That's true. He doesn't really enter from center. The lights go out and he's just positioned there.
I'm sorry, what happens? Lights go out. Something, 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 Cody Rhodes.
Hold
Merry
on.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I love me some Silva says, Kate sounds like when Cornette tries to sing Cult of Personality.
Please don't compare me to Cornette.
No, nobody needs that.
No.
Nobody needs that.
No, thank you. I will take like a double cheeseburger though.
Yeah. Salt says, and this is true, I forgot about this spot. Hope those fans that Cody hit with Sammy Guevara are okay. He powerbombed Sammy, or I think over the barricade into a bunch of fans, and like one of them was like, oh my head. And another guy was like, no, Cody, don't do it. Don't. And so it was an obvious plant.
Super not plant.
Which is like Mitch, the plant, was less of a plant than those plants.
That was like Von Wagner telegraphing.
To everyone upset over this Cody win, just remember it's only smoke and mirrors. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I don't feel like we can get too upset with. I mean, if you're a super Sammy Guevara fan, I get it, because I was really upset about Miro losing, and I'm a super Miro mark. And it wasn't like I hate Sammy. It was just like, no, Miro should have the title forever. So I totally get it if you're a Sammy person, but I feel like we have to wait and see what this new Cody Rhodes reign is, personally. Yeah. Alan Marks says, remember the Black Mist? Perhaps Cody is merely doing the ultimate bidding of the House of Black. I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot.
A lot of people
options
lined up to fight Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all the rest of these AEW super chats and Humper chats, and then we'll quickly try and go through SmackDown.
Humper chats, super chats, and hooker chats.
Hooker chats.
We need that domain too.
Yeah, we need hooker chats. So
we might get some real weirdos.
The Nerd Guru says that he is manifesting a team of Hook and Brian Danielson called Crouching a Hook, Hidden Dragon. Or same thing with Kyle, just called Heel Hook.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That one I like better. If I have Danielson in a stable, I actually put this out into the Twitterverse, and almost everybody said if Danielson was going to have a stable, they want Daniel Garcia in it and Jonathan Gresham to come over and be in it. Which I like. I like that idea.
Mark Kane says, do you think there's any significance to Darby's face paint on Wednesday and Sammy's gear tonight being close to the same shade of pink? Maybe. I mean, paying tribute to Owen, to Brett on the night that the Owen is formally announced, I think it's possible. I don't know if it's like over, like significance in like, oh, they're gonna form a team now, but like it was just like, you know, hey, tonight's a good night to wear pink.
Yeah, and Darby I feel like was a tribute to Surfer Sting as much as anything, and Punk was transitional Sting.
Yep. Yeah. Daniel R says, random question: what is the one idea you want to happen in AEW that is your random idea?
Ooh.
For me, it is Wardlow taking off his jacket and having a 4 Pillars shirt where he is on it instead of MJF, and that's where he turns.
I like that idea, but we already had Britt Baker replaced.
I know, but it does have a very Festival of Friendship thing where like MJF would look at Wardlow's shirt and say, "Hey, why am I not on this?" Oh no! Power bomb, 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 power bomb. That would be fun.
I really want Danielson and Punk, and I think Punk put this out there, but I wanted it first. I wanted Danielson and Punk tag run and them to do some work with the Bucks. I think that would be very fun.
Yeah. T. Daniel Barber says the AEW rankings mean about as much as the UFC rankings, so absolutely nothing until the company wants to matter.
But they call it a heat chart in the UFC, not rankings.
Oh well.
But it's not meant. It's just meant to tell you who's important in the company. It's not meant to set up the number one contender. I want clarity around my rankings. Is that so much to ask?
Well, we forgot. There was an Eddie Kingston promo backstage.
Partner.
He says, Daniel Garcia, you did what you had to do. Actually, I kind of respect it. I love that. I love the idea of like, yeah, you rolled me up and you got a fistful of tights. I would have done the same thing to you. Like, I think that's a really cool little thing to do. And like, they're going to have like, we started this feud. Well, not started it, but like the last time we had a match, it was 5-on-5. Well, next week it's going to be 3-on-3, which is the opposite of the way things usually work. But okay. I eventually we're going to get back down to a singles match again. I mean, I feel like this is something they're doing with Eddie because it's fun. He likes doing it. It gets Daniel Garcia on TV more. 2.0 is entertaining. Let's just keep this thing going. And I think it's part of it is the Eddie Kingston becoming better friends with LAX, like basically reforming LAX. So that when Jericho comes back and be like, hey, those are my friends. You're not allowed to play with my friends. They're mine.
And then Eddie Kingston will be like, they're my partners.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston on Swerve Confident podcast, worth listening to.
Yeah.
Just amazing to hear someone with that thick of a Yonkers accent talking about how he's so emotionally evolved. Like, him talking so vulnerably and sincerely, because they talk about the Players Tribune article and all these things in his accent and his just like Nick's hoodie.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest. It's the best. But yeah, Eddie Kingston is perfect and can do no wrong. He is like right there with Punk for me. Oh, the best. They really gave me all my Punk dream matches out of the gate. I was like, oh, Eddie and MJF when we get to those, and they were like, here is immediately what you asked
for. Brett Lockman says, random words at the dinner table today. Eddie Kingston feels like the kind of person who would only kill you if it had to be with his bare hands. This is a very interesting thing to say at the dinner table. A joyous HOOKmas to the both of you.
And to you.
And to you. We got something saying here. This is interesting and also really scary to me. Dylan Bishop says, after the show, Toni told the crowd to stop booing him since the cameras were off, and then Hook came out and slapped him. Bring that shit to TV ASAP. Now, this is what I'm talking about with doing too much too soon with the kid. Like this, I don't know if we're here yet. Just objectively, like, I don't know that we're here yet. And I worry about the overall health of this company more than I want. Do I want to see Cody versus Hook? Hell yes, I do. Do I worry about what that means for like the whole, like, it might be like, hey, like this just feels like, hey, everybody likes Hook. Let's put a title on him after 2 matches. Feels like a thing that this company shouldn't do.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think he might get a title shot too soon, which is still too soon. But I also think this might have been Christmas and you have someone who's turning heel and just a real hot hand right now. And I think him coming out and slapping him right now doesn't mean that the match is...
Okay.
It's AEW, man. They plant these seeds. They had They've seen Splendid since before the company started. They had Juventud Guerrero on.
Yeah.
I don't think it means it's immediate.
Apparently, Cody said that he will face him the next time they come back to Greensboro. So.
Oh. Okay.
All right. I'm sure this is all. Right. It's all long-term storytelling.
That's all
fine.
They do.
We're all right. Hey, remember how I said that you should put down your $5?
Your single crisp dollar bills.
Put down your 5 crisp dollar bills that you got in your stocking. And you should subscribe to Fightful Select. Well, Salt said, I put the $5 down on my desk. Why is nothing happening? And I said that you should take your $5 bills down to Western Union and then wire us the money, and that's how we'll do it. And Detta Common said, if you enjoyed Alex's Western Union reference, stay tuned for his upcoming 100 Collect ad. Because that's the
dial down the center.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying on Fightful Select, we don't have ads.
Correct.
But on the regular YouTube, we have ads.
That is
just, I'm just saying, and I don't know if this is like the most Christmassy ad to play, but it's the one I was told I had to play. So
I hear you. Times are rough. We just got out of a wild situation, a wild year, and people are saying, you know what, it's a hard knock life. But I disagree. Instead, I believe it's a hard cock life when you use Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL, and you get your first shipment free. Free? All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. Blue Chew is made with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work, but they work on your schedule. Full stomach, empty stomach, ready to go, want to get in the mood. Blue Chew has you covered. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. I don't think so. More like somebody's getting dicked when you use BlueChew.com. No awkward conversations with the doctor. Because, I mean, you know, I'm all about not being awkward. No waiting in line at the pharmacy. It's because they work with their online physicians to get the active ingredient you need, and it ships straight to your door. BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL gets you your first shipment free. That's how confident they are. Free. Use that promo code FIGHTFUL. Hardcock Life.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Hardcock Life indeed. So there was also Smackdown last night.
I heard there was a show that happened.
There was a show. Rob Reed said I completely forgot Smackdown was on last night, with good reason. Just quickly through the things that don't matter at all. The thing that matters the least could not matter less. Drew McIntyre and the New Day faced Madcap Moss and the Usos in the Miracle on 34th Street fight. Both Baron Corbin, who was at ringside, though not in the match, and Madcap Moss had eggnog poured on them.
Didn't Becky Lynch also have eggnog poured on her?
Was that a thing? I don't think so.
I saw a clip of it online. If they went to an eggnog spot multiple times,
there's no Becky Lynch in this particular episode of SmackDown. I don't know when that happened, but
maybe that was on Raw. That would make sense.
Madcap Moss got eggnog poured on him twice, and then somebody threw a big present that hit him in the back of the head. I mean, you know, unprotected present shots, guys. Let's just close the book on that.
Knock it off.
He got put back in the ring and he got a Claymore and was pinned. I ask you again, why the hell would anybody want to see this match on a pay-per-view? Like, why would you do that on day one? Like, what is that? We've already seen like Drew Claymore him and pin him. Like, I don't understand why we would do that. But
know what's kind of fun with Drew? I'm like, he might be the one to dethrone Roman, or he might lose to Madcap Moss next week. Who knows? They don't know. Like he's either like a serious contender for Roman, or he could just lose to Madcap Moss next week.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
No, they don't. And this was the main event of the show. Like after 2 matches that like mattered, like seriously, one was a freaking like long ass gauntlet match to set up a number 1 contendership. One was for the women's title. This is your main event.
It's time for your main event. Why is Madcap Moss in any main event?
I don't know. Kofi jumped off the top rope with 2 platters full of cookies and slam dunked them on top of the Usos' heads.
Okay, that's neat.
It was something. At least we didn't see the New Day pin the Usos again. That's at least that wasn't a thing that we had to slip through again. This was terrible. I mean, every Miracle on Street 4 street fight is usually pretty bad, but okay. We got a Paul Heyman interview, which is what I thought they were gonna do. He got interviewed by Kayla Braxton in a pre-taped interview backstage, sitting in a chair, and he hasn't shaved, and he's been crying, and he's red-faced and puffy. That's what he does. And so like Paul, it's been a week since you were fired by Roman Reigns publicly, and then he seizes on the word publicly. He said, publicly. Yes, publicly. Yes, I'll tell you what happened. I told Roman Reigns the truth publicly. And then he punched me in the face publicly. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to have to retire publicly. And then he stops and drinks a whole glass of water really, really loudly. Like, okay, hold on. I have to like get the top off of this thing. I do.
You could have this man be in charge of your entire creative.
It was obviously like, he says that, what am I going to do? I was like, what's next for Paul Heyman? What am I going to do? Go to NXT, pick out some diamond in the rough, manage him, bring him up. And I was like, yeah, Paul Heyman managing Braun Breaker wouldn't be a terrible thing. Like Braun can talk, but like if that's like, I picked out, here's the new Brock Lesnar, this guy. I mean, and like if the first time we ever see Braun Breaker on the main roster, Paul Heyman is his advocate. Like, just shoot him to the top. That's it. I mean,
I didn't think about. Everybody's been talking about Braun and Roman, and Brock and Roman. What if they give us someone else at Mania?
Yeah,
and they do Brock and Breaker. Brock and Breaker. What if they're a tag team called Brock and Breaker? I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Paul Heyman is going to run back into the very enormously large arms of Brock Lesnar. But that I would be interested in Paul Heyman managing him.
Later in the night, they gave us a very long video package detailing the history of Paul Heyman's career, because he's probably going to retire. Don't you understand? He's going to retire. Like they're like basically like this is the video that will play when he gets elected into the Hall of Fame, because he's retiring. Guys, Paul Heyman is definitely retiring. That's what we all want you to think. Like, it was just like, you didn't need to do that. You could have had the interview fine, but the video package was like, oh, so he's definitely turning and joining Brock Lesnar. Or this whole thing with Roman was all just a ruse to get Brock to think that it wasn't going to be. It's one of those two things. It's, yeah. I like, now this is interesting. Brent Lockwood says the Brock and Break Express. I want the Brock and Break connection.
I like that too, but Brock has to have 2 Ks.
Brock
and connection would have to have Ks.
Connection. That's hard to say.
Yeah.
In reference to the Miracle on 34th Street fight, WWE really is like the Twilight Zone episode where everyone had to bend to the whims of a child in order to not get erased from existence, huh? Like it really is. Like, don't make the child angry, otherwise we will be killed. That's basically working with oh man.
My hometown of Binghamton, New York, has like 3 claims to fame. One of them is that the creator of the Twilight Zone, whose name is escaping my mind, Rob something,
Yes.
is from Binghamton. Paul Reiser also went to school at SUNY Binghamton, and we are also known for our carousels for some reason, which probably has historical significance that I never cared about.
Interesting.
Not really.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. Mark Losper says you're half right, Kate. He could lose to Madcap Moss and dethrone Roman.
That's a very good point, because nothing matters.
Nothing matters.
So well played. Touche.
Yeah, there you go. Nothing matters. We got the Ricardo El Idolo says, Merry Christmas, everyone. All hail. Yes. All hail. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas and happy birthday, Robert O'Neill.
Yeah.
And happy HOOKmas.
Brent Lockman says $5 because one of you watched SmackDown, so I didn't have to. I watched the Muppet Family Christmas instead twice. Now that's a fine Christmas special.
What if I told you that I watched that and not SmackDown? I had it on while I was wrapping someone else's gifts because they don't know how to wrap gifts.
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's me. I'm all thumbs. We got this Intercontinental title gauntlet match, and I want to make sure I have the order right because it's very important. Remember, because they were they taped this in Chicago, which is Mustafa Ali's hometown. He wasn't allowed to be in this match. They said, you know, just stay home. We don't want you here. We got nothing for you. We got stuff for these people. Let's list all of them. There we go. Let's see. Shanky and Jinder and Eric and Ivar and Angel and Humberto and Drew Gulak and Mansoor. And I guess I'm fine with Ricochet and Sammy and Sheamus and Cesaro being in it.
It's an IC title gauntlet and 3 tag teams?
Yes, because they have to have 12. It's a 12 days of Christmas gauntlet match. You have to have 12 guys.
Why do you have 6 of them in tag teams?
Because there aren't enough people on SmackDown, Kate. Because Mustafa Ali is not allowed to wrestle. He's not allowed to wrestle, Kate. I don't want to have to explain this again.
Why didn't you have your... Oh, my God. Why didn't Rick Boogs wasn't in it to even make it remotely?
No, he's not allowed to be in it. He has to play Nakamura to the ring so they can stand around awkwardly and watch the gauntlet match, all 1 hour of it. And yes, that's a thing that happens.
This is the AEW rankings of gauntlet matches.
Yes, it is.
Meaning it stinks.
Back from the break.
Wait,
hold on.
Why not have an NXT talent in it?
No. It's an Intercontinental Championship match. So the first people are Mansoor and Angel. Angel Garza beats Mansoor. So it's a good thing we did that whole storyline with him and Mustafa Ali, and then put him over at Sands of Time. It's a good thing we did all that to have him go out first in this gauntlet match. That was fun.
And to not have Mustafa Ali in this, because why would you?
He lost that match though, so we did. So he's out.
Yeah, so they've never run stuff back before.
No. Then so Mansoor's out. Then Angel Garza fights Eric the Viking, from the Viking Raiders, and he beats Eric with the same exact move, because God help, like, we got to have Angel Garza can only win matches one way. He can only hit his wing clipper, and that's it. That's all he can do, because he has no other moves, according to Vince. And then now he's gone through 2 very tough matches, and so out comes Shanky, and Shanky beats Angel in 1 move, like with a clothesline, and then like an elbow and a hip toss and like some weird. Do you remember Mojo Rawley's old hyperdrive move? It's kind of like that, except he doesn't go all of the floor. It's bad. Shanky's bad, which is why he beats Angel, he loses to Ivar pretty quickly.
So you wouldn't have the tag team beat each other to create some sort of interest?
No, that's not how. No, we're not gonna have no intrigue. No intrigue, Kate. It's Christmas Eve. Then Sheamus is out with Ridge Holland, who's not in the gauntlet match. it's very important that Shanky is in the gauntlet match and both Viking Raiders, because we wouldn't want Ridge Holland to be in this match where he might have to fight against his mentor Sheamus. You know, intrigue. Intrigue's not allowed. So then we had Ivar versus Sheamus, and Sheamus beats Ivar. He is a brogue kick via that. And then Cesaro comes out next. Can we get Cesaro versus Sheamus? That's some intrigue, kind of, except for, you know, it's a distraction finish. It's a distraction finish because Ridge Holland distracts Cesaro, and Cesaro is not a ring veteran. He's only had a few matches in his career, and so he's easily distracted by Ridge Holland, and he turns right around into a brogue kick, and he gets eliminated.
You would think that they would create something interesting just by accident. Like they had to go out of their way to make this boring.
Yeah.
I'm so upset.
It was the least interesting, entertaining, anything gauntlet match ever. It was terrible. Ricochet, he runs out, and because he's next, he's gonna fight Sheamus. Then I bet you can't guess how Ricochet won.
Definitely not with a roll-up.
No. Oh, yeah, you went with a roll-up, but why? Why was it so easy to get a roll-up on Sheamus? Because Cesaro came back to distract Sheamus, to get a little revenge, to continue this feud that's really kind of going nowhere. Yay!
Ricochet defies gravity. I'm not going to say gravity forgot him, but I will say he can do the coolest shit in the world and has great finishers. Why would you have him win with a roll-up?
Yeah. And then out comes.
This is good. I was worried it wasn't going to be sour enough because we spent so much time on Rampage. Nope.
You gotta get some sourness in here. It's the name of the show.
Oh, it's here in this gauntlet match that could have set up like 7 stories that they were like, nah.
Sheamus is eliminated. And so who comes next? Humberto comes out next. Humberto versus Ricochet. That is quick. Because Sheamus beats the hell out of Ricochet because he's pissed that he got lost to a roll-up. So now we have an injured Ricochet versus Humberto. So Humberto decides he's gonna take advantage of this and goes for a top rope moonsault, but gets hit with feet in the face. And then Ricochet hits a recoil on Humberto and beats him with one move. Bye-bye, Humberto. Good
Where is a single referee?
Not allowed. Then Jinder comes out, and Jinder is gonna try and hit Ricochet with the Colossus, but Ricochet just doesn't get hit with it and rolls him up for the win. Jinder, former WWE champion, lost to a roll-up in 14 seconds. And so then we're now down to the last one.
How many roll-ups were there in this match?
Oh, too many. Then we get the next person, Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn is the whole reason this exists, because
he keeps winning battle royals.
Because he wants his title match, and Sonya Deville said, no, you're not allowed to have a title match for the Universal title, so you have to earn an Intercontinental title match. Why wouldn't they just give him an Intercontinental title match? Because we had to take up an hour of this episode. That's why, Kate. That's why. And so Sammy versus Ricochet is the most entertaining match of this series of matches. When you're like, the tag teams aren't going to face each other, and the mentor's not going to face his student. No. But Sammy wins with a haluva kick. There were a couple of times where I thought, hey, Ricochet might pull this out. And I was like, no, they're not doing babyface versus babyface for the IC title. And this is a whole story is just for Sami Zayn to get a title match. So he wins with a haluva kick. So it's him versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And that could be good. Could be, I guess. I mean, it should be. I mean, listen, it could be one of the greatest matches of the last decade because we saw it happen at TakeOver Dallas. But will it be? Chances are no. The other thing that happened was the opening match of the night, which was Charlotte not giving any offense to Toni Storm. Toni Storm reversed a couple of things into German suplexes, but it was just Charlotte beating the dog piss out of Toni Storm and giving her nothing. And then
why?
I don't know. And then so
Because
Flair,
pies? Because of a pie.
I don't know.
She's so angry that she's beating the living shit out of Toni Storm because of a pie.
Like anything Toni Storm tried didn't work. Charlotte was literally just like Toni Storm was kneeling in front of Charlotte, and Charlotte was slapping her in the face. Is that all you got? Is that all you got? And the point of that usually is to show the babyface, like, yes, I do have more than that. And he gets up and does offense, but Charlotte just cut it off because that's what Charlotte does. And then Charlotte does the Becky Lynch roll up, grab the ropes thing, the exact way that Becky beat Liv. But on SmackDown, this ref saw it and was like, no, you're not allowed to do that. So then Toni and Charlotte just trade roll-ups, like they reverse each other's roll-ups for like 4 or 5 attempts, and then Charlotte pins Toni, and then Toni cries, like really cries, like she can't believe that she makes this face a lot. And that's how they want to build the baby face.
Wait for somebody to clip what you just did.
Yeah,
I have so many questions.
No, we don't have time for questions, Kate. Like, I don't know.
It's one question, and that question is just why?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Because Charlotte needed to look more dominant. She's had the title 749 times.
She tried to cheat, but she wasn't allowed to cheat. So she ended up just beating her clean with a reversed roll up into a small package or something.
And Toni Storm cried.
She was inconsolable in the ring, looking up at Charlotte as Charlotte held the belt aloft. They focused in on Toni, making this face again.
I feel like there's a new idea for a show here where I don't watch wrestling and you just describe it to me and I just go,
yeah, just make a confused face.
Because when you have to say it out loud like that, it's somehow worse than watching it even.
Oh man, it really is.
What the hell does this do for Toni Storm, and what does Charlotte have left to fucking prove?
I don't know. I'm gonna read a bunch of super chats here in the next 8 minutes because I am gonna beat this clock, even though Sean didn't give me one, I'm still gonna beat it just to spite him. The Nerd Guru says, is it bad I don't care about Roman and Brock? No, it is because they want you to, they expect you to, but no, I don't really care about it. Because I know whatever happens at day one, they're still going to push this thing off to Mania. James Nepper says, I don't understand why they kept doing close-ups of Toni Storm crying oddly, repeatedly. I felt bad, but not the way I think they intended.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
There's an important distinction with that.
Brent says the WWE booking is a Lovecraftian horror where the more you understand it, the more you lose your sanity. That's very good because that's me.
Wow.
That's me. I'm crazy.
You're gonna end up in a white room with Miro, forsaking your god.
Yeah. Mark Losper says, did Ricochet at least do a cool flying roll up? He did not. Can confirm he did not. James Bowers says the amount of talent wasted in the gauntlet was staggering. Nakamura, Boogs. I'll give you Boogs. Holland, Sheamus, Cesaro, Ricochet. Staggering, I tell you. Abominable. Mark Losper says, and this is very true, there's no way anyone can tell me they're not openly burying Toni Storm at this point. It just...
And why?
I don't understand. All right, we have holdover humper chats and super chats. Thank you all for sending in the super chats and humper chats.
Yeah, happy Christmas so nice. To y'all.
This was not this. We made a whole bunch of money for Fightful.
We did on Christmas.
We did on Christmas. Isn't that nice? Thank you so much.
Sweet.
Hook. We want more Hook. Says hell yeah. How about Hook versus Brock Anderson after that Cody slap? Yeah. How about Hook versus all of Nightmare Family? Just rebook that feud with Malachi, but having Hook do it instead.
I am for that, and B, I have no interest in Brock Anderson. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
It was the most vanilla, boring thing in the world.
This is the very nice super chat from Peyton Carter. Merry HOOKmas! Kalex! Rampage was amazing tonight. Sammy and Cody put on an amazing match, and Hook is always a treat to watch. Oh, and I guess Smackdown happened too. Yeah, apparently it did. R26 says a bit late, but Jade winning the TBS title will be fine if Women's World Champion wasn't also someone who is more character than in-ring. Not saying Britt sucks, but her mic skills are her bread and butter. One of the two belts should have the in-ring focus, and I totally understand that. I do think Serena Deeb will eventually hold the TBS title for like a year and a half, and it'll be glorious.
I also like when there's just for me, I like when one champion's a heel and one's a face, and also I like the balance of ring work versus mic skills.
Sean Blanford says, Merry Christmas, hashtag KLX. My Christmas wish would be to have a one night only 2.0 versus AEW battle and have Tony D take on Hook in the main event just to watch wrestling Twitter explode with glee. Make it happen, Santa. That is a Christmas miracle, even out of the hands of Santa, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and I would have loved that if it was 1.5 versus current AEW.
I'll love you some Silva says, Merry Christmas, Alex and Kate. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Hope you had a great one. Mine was good. Best Christmas present I got today from my in-laws, root beer. So that'll tell you how good a gift giving they are.
Wow. Like I'm not a gift?
Well, sorry. No, the gift of Kate Hensler's time is always precious. JB Love says, Alex and Kate, thank y'all for being one of the brightest spots of a ridiculously dark year. Merry HOOKmas. Love to you both. Love to all of you. We love hanging out and being fun and hanging out with you guys. It's a thing we like to do.
It is.
Della Common says, here is another $5 for getting around and resetting up my terrible joke from the beginning of the show. Y'all are the best. We try. All right.
We do what we can.
We have a couple of jukeboxes. Do you have this in front of you? Because there's a request for you, a $20 request. So you have to sing. I think you've actually almost kind of done it. So now you got to.
Oh my God. Okay, let me pull up my tweet from earlier. I don't know why. So ever since Silver did that, whenever I hear this theme, that's all I can think about is like alternatives to the theme. And for some reason I did one with that stupid Go Big show. Let me find out. Okay, here it is. Thank you for $20 to do this, by the way. Adrenaline in my soul. A judge on the Go Big show. Not that big show. His name is Paul White. He's Tall Paul. I'm Cody. I judge a big talent show. Me and Snoop and two other gals. And then TNT said, we liked your numbers. Now he's a heel. Wow! He took his belt. Wait, what is it? He took his belt. He took Sammy's belts away. He just beat him. He took his belts away. Main event of Rampage. The boos, they greet him. And then I just said, I'm a genius.
You are.
So, I hope that was worth $20.
Oh, so worth it. One last Rampage tweet, and then a couple of apparently improv scenes I've got to do. James Bauer says, have Sheeta and Deeb feud for the TBS title forever. Inject it in my veins.
It's been great. That's been a really well built out feud.
Ryan Sullivan says, Alex, Kate has been super positive online lately. Can you, as Eddie Kingston, thank her for her work? It's really hard to do Eddie Kingston.
Just have to
honestly.
say partner.
I just have to
That's
say
it.
partner. I noticed you've been really positive online, giving a lot of people a lot of good feedback and allowing them to share their stories of positivity. I want to say, great job, partner. Partner. That's all I can say is partner. It's all my entire Eddie Kingston impression is based partner. Ryan Sullivan says, I need Tony D talking to Santa, convinced that Santa is an informant. Hey, I've been seeing you around all over the place. I see you on the street corners ringing that bell. I see you in the mall with kids on your lap. You've been following me. Have you been following me? Take that beard fake. You wearing a wire?
I think he's wearing a wire.
Merry Christmas, everybody. I gotta beat the clock. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Keep cool, gabagool. Rampage was awesome. Bye.
Partner.